I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Angie Bevan. Nancy Cox is on assignment. Thanks for joining us at 6. Before we get to the big story, we want to update you on a shooting we've been following in Lexington.
2 people were hurt when shots rang out at a bar on Delzan Place near Clay's Mill and New Circle. Jacqueline Nye joins us live from the scene with the latest developments. Jacqueline.
Yeah, Kevin, Angie, several shots were fired inside this bar. That's Uncle Seven's Bar and Grill. Now, police say while they were on the way, officers were told that a man with a gunshot wound was hiding in the bathroom to avoid more gunfire. And once investigators arrived, a second man with a gunshot wound was found. Police tell us the man thought his back was just hurting because he dove to the floor to avoid the gunfire, not realizing he had been hit. Both victims were conscious and speaking to investigators and have been taken to UK hospital. They are expected to be okay. Investigators were able to make a quick arrest, all thanks to witnesses inside who gave police a suspect description and a license plate. Police say the suspect was found inside of his pickup truck outside of his home. That's about a half a mile away from here, and they took him into custody.
At that time, we don't know what his mental state was, so we don't know who else, if anybody, would be in danger.
I talked to some friends of both victims here that they were hanging outside of the bar earlier, and they say that both victims are stand-up guys and they're shocked at what happened at their bar earlier today. Covering the news live in Lexington from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
A nerve-wracking day for some passengers at Bluegrass Airport.
A United Airlines flight bound for Houston was forced to turn around due to some sort of mechanical issue. LEX 18's Kylan Mills has the big story at 5.
A few travelers trickle in early for the next flight at Bluegrass Airport this afternoon.
I brought my headphones, so I plan to just chill out, listen to music, and maybe go to sleep.
But for some, what should have been a relaxing flight literally took a turn. We're told 23 people were on United Airlines SkyWest Flight 5830 from Bluegrass Airport to Houston when it was forced to turn around shortly after takeoff. A statement from the airline says the plane was diverted back to Lexington due to a mechanical indication.
I think it's safe. However, I am a little nervous. There's times that, you hear about the things, the planes crashing and all that stuff, and it does make you a little nervous.
Fire officials and a passenger on the flight told LEX 18 that they heard there was an issue with the landing gear. The flight did land safely and everyone was okay. Other travelers tell LEX 18 while they're surprised to hear about what happened, they're not worried.
They just keep our best safety in mind, and you have to know that they're using their best judgment and, they're doing the best that they can to get you where you need to go. So it's happened to me before, and I had to stay an extra night somewhere, but, I ended up getting home safe and everything worked out perfect.
Covering the news in Lexington, Kylan Mills, LEX 18 News.
Crews in the Rockcastle County community are working against Mother Nature's clock.
They're trying to restore water before another round of rain hits. Conroy DeLuche has more from Livingston.
Down a muddy, steep hill off Highway 1955. In a spot near Roundstone Creek that's hidden from the road behind trees. The source of Livingston's latest water woes, a washed out bank that buckled under this past weekend's rain.
It was awful. It was awful. We had rain, it just came down in buckets.
The displaced land, debris, and trees knocked out a water main, putting crews to work today.
Trying to, just fix it in the areas in hopes that it lasts long enough to where we don't have to do it again so often.
At one point, the entire city lost water pressure until crews could locate the exact location of that break. The mayor says the reason that they knew to look in this area for the water issue in Livingston was because this happened just a couple of years ago. And Mayor Jason Medley worries more spots along the creek will eventually collapse.
This location that we're at actually has some water springs on top of the hill that's filled up, obviously, and come down and happen to saturate the dirt and cause this problem.
Until the line is fixed, about 60 customers, including Catherine Bryant, will have to make do without running water.
So we filled those jugs up in 5-gallon buckets and brought it back to flush the commode.
Mayor Medley says the city is not only looking for a quick fix, but a long-term solution, which could involve the expensive process of moving the water line up the hill. Covering the news in Rockcastle County, Connery DeLuche, LEX 18 News.
Turning into a pretty nice afternoon. It's a partly sunny sky out there, but you also notice that we have more daylight. It's with the onset now of daylight savings time. And for those of us in the weather community, it is an onset. We would just assume keep standard time all year, but we have our own reasons why. But you look out with your St. Joseph Health weather bug camera from St. Joseph East, Man-O-War and Richmond Road, and you see that partly sunny sky out there. And go ahead and flip over to the weather graphics if you don't mind, because right now we should be looking at the MaxTrack Live Doppler. We really should. Anyway, and there you ask and things appear. And there we go. MaxTrack Live Doppler, we're looking good for us this afternoon. Next real chance of rain doesn't come till Thursday, the way things are shaping. It could be late Wednesday night, but Thursday really is a better time for that. You are looking tonight, just those thin clouds coming through. As we continue then into your Tuesday morning, sky should be clear. And that will lead to some chilly temperatures getting the day started. Next batch of clouds that arrive, that is at the leading edge of a warm front. Oh, and wait until you see numbers that start with a 6 and a 7. We'll have that for you in just a minute.
All right, Phil, thanks.
A second member of the Beverly Hills 90210 cast has died within just 1 week of another. Tributes and condolences have been pouring in from all over the world for Luke Perry and Jed Allen.
One of their fellow cast members, Matthew Lawrence, lives right here in Lexington, and he's sharing his memories of Perry and Allen with LEX 18. Tiffany Jackson has that story.
It was a great, great Sweet 16.
Sports fans here in Lexington may recognize this voice.
Another great Sweet 16 tournament, and we love watching high school basketball at Rupp Arena.
That voice is featured on ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. But many more people, even across the world, will recognize this face.
It was supposed to be one episode, and it turned into 9 years.
Matthew Lawrence played Mel Silver in the popular 90s TV show Beverly Hills 90210. The show's cast recently devastated by the loss of 2 members.
He was just too young.
1 week ago, Luke Perry, who played teen heartthrob Dylan McKay, died after suffering a stroke.
You have seen nothing but incredible words and thoughts about what an amazing human being he was, and he was. And that's the hard part.
And this past weekend, Jed Allen passed away at the age of 84. Allen periodically made appearances on 90210 as Rush Sanders, the father of Steve Sanders.
They were a lot younger than we were, and so we all kind of had fatherly feelings for all the kids on the show, but Jed was a terrific guy too.
Lawrence says Perry and Jason Priestley were his closest friends on the show, and he'll always cherish the many years they worked together.
I mean, those memories are a really important part of my life.
Covering the news in Lexington, Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
Lexington police need your help identifying a woman who they believe intentionally stole about $1,000 in merchandise from Hobby Lobby.
Michael Burke has more in this week's Crime Stoppers.
This person's hobby apparently includes a lot more than just crafting and making models.
She definitely went and committed this, this felony theft.
And she knew how to pull it off inside the Hobby Lobby on War Admiral, even using a tactic well known to police.
She overcompensates by familiarizing herself or having the employees familiarize themselves with her.
And there's a reason for that. But any attempt to use the "I forgot it was in my cart" defense won't fly with this police department.
She actually went through and bought these larger pieces, and you can see her in the video pull back her coat and look at the smaller items and then cover her coat back up.
Making off with about $1,000 in merchandise, and police think it's fair to assume she's probably done this before and will undoubtedly strike again.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is someone that once they've exhausted their resources here at this Hobby Lobby, they could have traveled to a Michael's or another Hobby Lobby or other craft stores.
And believe it or not, if the supplies are not for her own projects, there is a market for the stolen goods, money from which could be feeding something else for this person of interest.
There's a lot of people out that do this type of thing, and they're willing to buy these online.
Maybe that's why she was willing to take the chance. Covering this week's Crime Stoppers in Lexington, Michael Burke, LEX 18 News.
Remember, if your information leads to an arrest, you could get a cash reward from Bluegrass Crime Stoppers. Just call 859-253-2020 or text your information to crimes. Put LEX PD in the message along with your anonymous tip. The most anticipated part of Lexington City Center is just weeks away from opening.
As long as the wait has been, people might want to know what the hype is all about. Tonight, Nancy Cox is in Cincinnati, where Jeff Ruby invited her to talk about what will soon be a fixture of downtown Lexington.
We've seen the sketches for well over a year now, but the restaurant is billed as much more than brick and mortar. So we're here in Cincinnati at the original location to show you what the Jeff Ruby experience is all about. Each Ruby location is unique, a distinct style for sure, but no two are alike. Jeff Ruby says Lexington is in for a treat.
I want Lexington to know that when they're going to leave this restaurant with more than a doggy bag. They're going to leave with a memory. And the memory is they were totally, completely entertained, and they got to forget about life for a while.
Because of the issues with what once was Center Point, Jeff Ruby likes to point out that he signed the lease 2 presidents ago. But he says it's going to happen. The question now, how will Lexington respond? Covering the news in Cincinnati, Nancy Cox, LEX 18 News.
A Lexington native and her dance company helped kick off the new season of NBC's World of Dance last night.
Find out how the group scored and whether they advanced to the second round. Next on LEX 18 News at 6.